It is the knowledge we have. There are some things that God has been making it clear to me. And I really, okay, let me tell us. Let me tell us this. I think last week, I shared it on Saturday with Awaiting Mothers. Last week, you know, on a Wednesday morning, one of my daughters, she doesn't used to come. So she just came and she said, I had something happen. So I said, okay, let's meet. And you know what? She was sleeping in the middle of the night. And she had her name. So she woke up and said, who could be calling me by this time of the night? As she opened her room to know who could be calling me, could it be my father, his own father too, whom he thought that he was calling her, also opened, so he too had the same voice and said, who could be calling my daughter by the middle of this night? And what happened? As she opened his door, the daughter also opened her door, and they were like, Daddy, did you call me? He said, no, I heard your name, and I woke up to know who could be calling you by this time. And there were only 3 or 4 in the house. Praise the Lord. So everybody came out, and everybody was far asleep. And but 2 of them had the voice, had the name. And they held hands and prayed. So the morning daybreak, the parents said, today is Wednesday. Go and meet Daddy. That is not the way I'm going. Could you believe that a girl who was born in the city here, I just want us to pray this night. After this, we'll rise up and pray. This girl was born in the city here. She was not born in the village. When the prayer intensified, I saw where she was held. Unfortunately, God also opened her eyes. She was seeing what was happening. The same thing I was seeing, she was seeing. Her father has also built his own house. But this girl could see herself held in the old house where her father came from. And they were saying to me, you can't drag her out of this place. This is where she belongs. How can she belong there? That is the question. Who put her there? What is she doing there? And you guess what? She said, Daddy, there is this strange man I used to see that always in my room, always pass around our house. It's in the same form I used to see him. That is the same man who is heading me there. I pray for you. Whatever strange siege, altar, that have been voicing evil, holding you bound from where you come from, the louder your amen, your liberation start now. By the end of the day, Jesus proved himself that he has paid it all. Hey, you don't understand. The question is this. Who is that person? And another thing is, she was not the only one there. Because they were telling me that this is where she belongs. And she cannot leave this place. She is not in her own father's house. She's not in the city here. It could be in the old house where everyone had left. I pray every ancestral altar that have been your major challenge, your major oppressor, tonight your liberation is starting. This is why the moment God appeared to Gideon and said to him, the Lord is with you, thou mighty man of valor. And in the course of questioning this greeting, God assured him how close he is to him. And you know what? God knew that if he does not deal with the altars from his father's house, he will not win the battle of his life. Many of us, we are only scrambling. We have put all efforts. But let me tell you, Bible says, break up your fallow ground. Do not sow upon thorns until you learn to deal with your father's house. Until you learn to deal with altars from your father's house. Until you make up your mind to say, no way, I have to fight this battle. Listen to me. One thing God keeps assuring me and keeps telling me is that tell my people, it is time to take responsibility. There was a time I took time to teach you on taking your responsibility. These are battles that if you don't fight, no matter how the prophets and so-called prophetess will prophesy over you, that battle remains. Altars from our father's house are linked with us in one way or the other. And that is why people will fly all they can fly. They will think that they have arrived. People will think that things have taken best shape. Before you know it, the enemy will strike. And you see them fall from far. I shared a testimony. It's not really a testimony, but an incident. You know, the other day, Evangelist Chief talked about it. And I told you I know the person. Once upon a time, she had a dream where she had run. She ran and covered great miles. She has been lifted far. All of a sudden, from that greatest height where she was, he said a rope came on her leg and dragged her with all the miles, with all the speed she covered. All of a sudden, that rope dragged her from that far place and dragged her to her father's house. I pray for somebody. Every battle from your father's house is ending this season. She found herself dragged back to her father's house. She, at the end of the dragging, look at the rope where she landed herself in her father's house. She was married. But she did not understand this dream until her husband, who used to be a preacher, who used to preach from different place to different place, all of a sudden dropped microphone, all of a sudden dropped everything, and said to her, I will not marry you again. As I'm talking to you, she's still in her father's house. It was lately after prayers, that one day, according to her, she said her Spirit of God took her back to that dream she had some years back. There are battles that comes to us that it is mandatory for us to fight. It is obvious that we must handle them. It is obvious that sometimes they appear seasonal. They may allow you to get married, but they are waiting for a particular season. They may allow you to get a job. They may allow you to get some things working. But whenever the altar is triggered, they will still return you back. Bible says, God said to Gideon, the first and foremost is to deal with the altar that are in your father's house. Fortunately, his father's hands was not even involved. You know, when you talk about the father's house or altars from my father's house, some of you, your mind will go to your direct father. My daughter was talking about, the altar was not his father. It was not his born father. In fact, as I was praying, God opened my eyes to see that the same altar is speaking against many of them. Father's house. What happened? Bible says when Gideon saw that it is time to take action, and he gathered able men with the same understanding. And what happened? They went in that night and offered the sacrifice and tore down the altars. And in the next morning, the whole clan, the whole kindred discovered that the altars have been broken. It has been shattered. They went to his father. Bible said they made inquiry. and discovered that it was torn down by Gideon. They went to Gideon's father and said to him, "Give us Gideon, we want to deal with him." And his father said, "Why can't you allow Baal to fight for himself?" Some people have been scared of this battle. Some people, they hit it and one attack or the other, some strange thing happened and they run away. Let me tell you, if you run away, it remains there. I am a witness that powers from your father's house is the strongest. In the city here, there are some demons you can just kick and they will never return back to you. Yes, I'm telling you the truth. But when it is from altar, from where you come from, it is a battle you fight season without season. It's not a battle you pray today and tomorrow you lift your hands. Because sometimes they always reinforce. I've never seen aggressive and most stubborn demons like altars from our father's house. They speak contrarily. They do a lot of argument. They will argue how they came. They will argue what they have done. They will argue how they must remain. I don't know what you are going through. I don't know what. You know, the most challenge we have is that we are very blind in the realm of the spirit. We can't even see. We can't even understand what is going on in the spirit. That is why people endlessly are fighting, endlessly are praying. People cannot just understand. But I tell you, when a man avail himself and get determined to face the music, God always show up. There was readiness in the heart and the life of Gideon. That was why he left the oldest. He left the clan that appears to be the strongest. He went to this young man where he was busy working. Many of us, we are not busy. We are only busybody. Many of us, we are not ready. And the more we shy away from it, the more it haunts us, the more it troubles us. But I am challenging everyone who belongs to this mountain that you can't afford to lose anymore. You can't afford to suffer their pain. You can't afford to suffer their affliction. They are so strong, they are so stubborn that you have to pray. They will pray to a point. Let me tell you, once I have told you that these are prayers that the more you begin to break through, the moment you start breaking through in the spirit, the level of attack will increase. Hello. Is somebody hearing me tonight? Is somebody willing to pray tonight? Do you understand that in one word or other, this prayer, you need this prayer. This prayer is been waiting for you. What will I say? A lot is going on. I discovered that many of us, our challenger, the number one troubler of our life is something from home. Sometimes we ask, but I never visited any Dibia. I have not done this. I have not done that. Is that not what we usually say? Is that not what we usually do? Is that not how we usually make argument? We usually argue. After all,